tech IPO market has been dead since 2021. And this is a real problem if you're working at a startup where 90% or more of your net worth is in frozen, illiquid stock options. You really start to feel like you're always on hold, waiting for your someday, maybe IPO. So let's look at where we are and where we might be going with IPOs in 2025. One of my favorite resources for taking a look at where the IPO market is the WilmerHale IPO Report. So we're just going to go to Google. We're going to type in WilmerHale IPO Report, and we're going to hit enter. And you want to look for this 2025 IPO report, and it's there that you'll be able to download the PDF. And when you do, here's what you're going to see. Now, I've already skipped ahead to page 3 because page 3 is where the info that I think is helpful for tech employees starts. And you'll find the most important info in this report from page 3 to page 8. So let's start looking here at what's been going on with IPOs in the last few years. And we'll start with 2024 first. So in 2024, we saw an increase both in the number of IPOs and the deal value. The number went up to 163, which was a 39% increase. And the other thing that's interesting about looking at that number of IPOs in 2024 is we're getting really close to where we typically were from 2015 to 2020. 2021, in retrospect, definitely looks like a really big bubble. But then in 2022 and 2023, complete crash, just down to levels that are not typical. And then in 2024, in terms of number, we're getting back to where we have usually been prior to 2021's bubble. But that's just the number of IPOs. The deal value tells a different story. So if we scroll up here and we look at this median IPO offering size, what we see is that even though the number of IPOs is returning to normal last year, that the deal size is still just really, really depressed compared to what it was prior to 2020. And so I think about these years 2015 through 2019 as kind of a typical year for IPOs in terms of that median offering size. And then 2020, we talked about how in 2020, the number of IPOs was pretty normal. But when we look at this offering size, we see kind of the first signs that we were entering into a real bubble. And then 2021, both in terms of number of IPOs and offering size, definitely a bubble. And then we get to, again, the crash. And so in terms of numbers, we're starting to get back to normal, but our offering size is still really, really off. And we entered into 2025 with a lot of excitement. And so when we move from looking at what's happened the last few years to looking at what might happen this year, one of my favorite sources for IPO news is the Information. And so if you subscribe to the Information Pro, you can go on here, you can take a look at their tech IPO tracker, and you can get the latest, outlook for different companies that are on track for an IPO relatively soon. And so one of the first companies that we saw go through an IPO this year was CoreWeave, and they're just a few weeks into their life as a public company, and it's going just okay. As of the last few days, they're trading around their list price. And what we really want to see in terms of excitement related to IPOs is we want to see companies that have recently listed do really well to where every day you're seeing that stock price go up. The other thing that's happened recently is you had both Klarna and StubHub, who were on track for an April 2025 IPO. And in response to some of the market declines related to tariffs, they've now pressed pause, and we don't know when they're going to IPO. So if your company is on this list and is green-lighted for a near-term IPO, now is the time to act. Don't wait until your listing date. If you expect it to be this year, go ahead, go to our website, book a call. Let's talk about it. And then if it's been announced, don't wait, not another single minute. Get on the website right now, book a call. We need to start planning for your upcoming IPO. The time to act is now. You've got a real opportunity in front of you, and there's a definite cost to delaying action.